Hello and welcome to Universal Love Law. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Maisha and I'm going to be discussing the second house energy. So I started my series with the water houses. I focused on the fourth, the eighth, the 12th, and now I'm moving into the earth houses. And so we're going to jump right on in with the very first of the earth houses. And that is the second house ruled by Taurus. It's the earth planet, earth ruled, more earth intangible material values versus the Venus in energy. Whereas, of course, Taurus is co-ruled with Libra when it comes to Venus, but Taurus really embodies that earth energy as well. And so when we're talking about the second house, I'm really going to get into the energy because this video is very helpful for those who are trying to understand their chart and the stelliums that they may have in their chart, or the transits that may be happening through their second house or whatever house, right? So the second house is in parallel to the eighth house, which makes them both succeedant. They're both the succeedant houses, whereas they're both, of course, the opposites, right? The second house is Taurus, whereas the opposite of that would be the eighth house. Eighth house would be more others, values, and our value that we place in other, whereas the second house energy really deals with the value one places on themselves and the way that they create the belief systems of their value on a personal level, and what they create manifest, right? And what they desire as material goods externally as well. So let's jump right on in. So first and foremost, when we take a look at how we develop our second house from childhood, it's really important to know that everything correlates. So what does this look like? So in early childhood, this is where the infant, right, they go through that first house of their personality being created, shaped, and molded. And then they move into the second house, which really they're learning from their caregivers and the people around them how to value themselves and how they value themselves. So the second house could really deal with the core root of our of our self-love, the way we take care of ourselves, and the ways that we can take care of ourselves utilizing materialistic things and material goods. So when a person has a lot of energy, second house energy, a lot of Taurus energy, transits going through their second house, my goals and my habits that I have to create wealth and income for myself, to support myself. And it was definitely, I was in a home where that was seen very clearly, that one must work and how to get by in this material realm. Whereas some people, they may have had more different upbringings, right? So think of this as someone who maybe have parents who are self-employed. That would look totally different. And so maybe our second house can show you if you're born into wealth, if you're born into a family of high status, but not so much high status. That's more like 10th house energy or even 5th house energy. But it just really talks about the subconscious core value system that one creates and develops for themselves. So let's say you have a stellium there with a lot of energy just in your second house jam-packed. Well, this will impact the way one goes towards their goals when it comes to obtaining material success. And that can be whatever your possessions are, right? A home, a car. Some people are really value, let's say you have a Sagittarius second house. These are people who can value having a lifestyle on the road, right? They can value having a job that's more philosophical and free versus one that is tedious and routine and structured, right? So second house and the sixth house, they correlate in some ways because they're both earth houses, but the sixth house deals with the more analytical side of things. It really details our jobs, our health, our habits, all of those things. But the second house does it on a more subconscious level. Whereas sixth house, we can see what we're doing because it's analytical, it's mutable, it's Virgo house. Whereas second house, it's something that's within us. It's the way we were groomed. It's the way we value ourselves. So let's say someone with a debilitated second house can really show some person with low self-esteem, someone who has a very poor work ethic, someone who doesn't value staying at a job. And so I want to steer from saying something is negative or bad or wrong, because when we're talking about life and incarnation and the reason in which we choose to come here, it doesn't look black and white. It's no right or wrong. Our souls choose to come here and experience life in the best way fit for us. So for one, it can be challenging if they're incarnating into a place where it's earth, right? Where we value the hustle and bustle of life, the 9 to 5, the wake up, the grind, or those hard hours, intensive labor to achieve any little bit of stability, right? This may be more harder for someone that has Aquarius in the second house or have a more free-spirited energy in the second house. But it also talks about our values. So relationships, the relationship that we have with ourselves, it deals with our self-esteem and how what in the way that we would, in what we feel that what we deserve, right? So for instance, one who has a watery planet in the second house, they feel as though they deserve more, jobs or routines that support them emotionally and keep them stable emotionally, right? Because they're always in tune with their emotions when it comes to work, routine, their self-esteem. They may wear their emotions on their sleeve, so they have to be in a place where they're able to earn income and make their daily bread that responds respectfully to them on that level energetically, or they will be very upset working at a fast food restaurant or somewhere that people are rude, even though of course it will help them to develop their skills in getting a tougher skin. Whereas if we're dealing with, I think I said modality, I meant to say element. If we're dealing with the more earthy element, this does very well here because of course the second house energy is an earth energy. It's grounded, it's practicality. So it deals with slow, steady wins the race. So earth sign energy would be very helpful here because it understands the value of hard work, and these are reflective signs. These are your slow, steady. So these people that have more earthier second houses can reflect on themselves, and they may really evaluate themselves on a self value level, like how they feel self-esteem wise. And so depending on their upbringing, remember your upbringing is very important, and then the way that we treat ourselves after traumas, the way we heal ourselves through things, that's all of our self-esteem. So that really will show us how we'll go, if we'll work hard for what we feel like we deserve, right? Or if we will put a lot of energy into making money and things of that nature. The earth houses here, earth planets here would do great because they're very reflective, they're very patient, they understand the value of a dollar, all of those things, right? And so on and so forth. With air, it would be someone who values intellectual stimulation and the ability to communicate and express their mental desires and their ability to learn more things, their ability to think, right? And critical thinking. So these people could be in jobs or have their priorities are all around making decisions and things of that nature. And it can be ever changing, like the Gemini, immutable. So it really depends. It's really important for one to know that when we're talking about the energy of the second house, this is really dealing with our inner subconscious value systems. And it's what and how we go about, what we do to go about our making our daily bread, and why we do it. It defines all of those things. Why is this a priority for me? So the second house allows us to prioritize our life in a way that makes sense for us. Major transits can make a person question their self-worth, right? What am I worth to the world? What do I bring forth to the world? How do I bring the energy of light and enlightenment and love, and how am I valuable, right? So the second house really affects us on a stable level when it comes to what we see, our inner verse reflecting our outer verse, right? Universe, what you create within, what you feel about yourself will be a reflection on the outside. So it's very important. We have to be very mindful when we're understanding astrology. We don't want to just look at the second house transits or look at our stellium there, right? I don't have a stellium there. But we don't want to look at our second house or the way that we go about operating when it comes to getting our money, getting our stability and our self-esteem and what we feel like we're worth. We don't want to look at that and sugarcoat it because it's not always good. Some people do like vulgar things for their money, and these could be the values that were taught to them. Think of someone who is a drug dealer. Think of someone who's a prostitute. Think of someone who just does things that are lower vibrational just to pay their bills. But these could be the values that they have been taught over time. So we have to really have compassion for ourselves first and foremost, and redefine our value for ourselves, Second house really your life and see how am I showing up in the world when it comes to my worth. is all about my foundation. Now, I do have my south node in the second house. So, because my north node is in my 8th house. So, I'm here to learn about merging and working with my audience. The people that I do service for are the people that will also return the favor with benefits. I will gain wealth through that, right? It's kind of like a gift that I have. Whereas when it comes to myself, right? Second house south node people, these people can be extremely possessive over their things and feeling, and so deleting that feeling of lack, because the only reason why people become very possessive and like, this is mine and this belongs to me, or just like in fear that they'll lose things, is because of fear. I said it before I even, so it's really important to understand that the second house can be deep-rooted trauma. It can be our subconscious belief systems of what we feel like we deserve. It could be on a negative scale where one feels like they have very low self-esteem and they feel like they deserve low, the lower echelons of life. Whereas it can also be a negative side to that as well, in duality, where they feel as though they want to hold on to everything they have and like just be very possessive and fears based, like fear driven. So there's the opposite duality of all. There's many ways that one can look at the negatives in the way the second house can play out, but we need to be honest when we're understanding astrology. We must understand that there's good and there's bad and there's a purpose for it all. What would life be if everything was perfect and good? It wouldn't be helpful to our ascension, to our growth. So I hope that this information has helped one to understand the importance of really building a good, healthy self-esteem. And that's through self-care and love, so that one can truly provide a lifestyle for themselves based on not ego, but based on what they feel they need to bring forth to the world, because they love it. Having your priorities in order and prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your needs, self-care, being mindful of that. Having healthier habits, right? Habits that feed our soul. These will bring forth material wealth into our world that will sustain us, and in a healthy way. We'll have positive daily routines. Our work environment will be positive, when we start with our self-worth, our self-esteem, the way we love ourselves. And the only way we can love ourselves is in the now, not in the future, like, I'm going to do this, or not thinking about the past, because those are not even real. I'll do a video on time being an illusion as well, because that's something I want to do as a class, and I also want to do for the YouTube channel as well. But I'm going to cut the video off because it's getting pretty long, but I hope this video has been helpful in you understanding the energy that plays out when it comes to us breaking down the second house. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace.